Wonderful. So again, my name is Melanie Wright. I'm one of the co-founders of Next Group. I am very, very happy on behalf of myself and Candace and the entire Next Group team to welcome you to our workshop this evening, Rediscovering Yourself as You Transition in Your Career and Life. Kavita has very graciously agreed to join us this evening. We are super excited about having her join our ranks as one of our presenters, and shedding some light into those folks that may be in a situation right now where they're looking at some transitions, thinking about making a change, whether it's focused on their career or their life, and trying to sort of sort through all that. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Kavita. And what I am going to do really quickly too is I'm going to go ahead and throw in a couple links in the chat. Just for those folks that are newer to Next Group, who may have registered and seen something through social or some other opportunities, I'm going to throw in a couple links, one to our Join Us page and another link to our Open Jobs page. Please feel free to take a peek at that, and I'll throw those links in at the end of the presentation again, so we don't take away from Kavita's presentation, but just wanted to share a couple pieces. And the other thing, Kavita, that I'll do first off is I will also share the two attachments that you so graciously shared with us, so people have those ready and willing, able to access when the time comes. All right?
Sounds great. Can you hear me okay?
You got it. That's all you. Thanks so much, Kavita.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to tonight's workshop. As Melanie said, it's my time now, rediscovering yourself as you transition in your career and life. And I am your host, Kavita Ahuja, and I'm actually really thrilled and grateful that you're here for the next 90 minutes or so, spending your time for your own personal growth. And I know many of you are at varying degrees of transition in your career, and we will explore some fundamental questions which can help you along your journey. So I'd really like to thank Candace and Melody for inviting me to facilitate this workshop. And I really acknowledge and actually really respect their great work with Next Group, supporting people like you as you relaunch your careers. So I know that many of you may be wondering, what's next? And that is the focus of what Next Group does. And that is also my focus, which is why we joined forces to bring you this workshop today. So through this workshop, I will be offering you some insights of, where you can begin to figure out what your true strengths and gifts are, what you're passionate about, so that you can bring that out forward into your next steps. So before we get into the agenda and some brief logistics, I'll have you know right off the bat that, while I'll be talking a little bit, the success of the next 90 minutes is really going to be dependent on your participation. There's no judgment at all, no right or wrong answers. And I really encourage you to share what's on your mind. This is a safe environment of growth and development. And as Melanie mentioned, please share anything that's on your mind in the chat, and we will be monitoring any comments or questions. Any questions so far?
I think we're good.
We're good? Okay. So a bit about the agenda for what you can expect tonight. I'll give you an idea of who I am and why I'm here to lead you tonight. And I'll also love you to all briefly introduce yourself by way of the chat. We'll get into, why this topic is so important, especially in this stage of the career transition, which you may be in right now. And also because of how it has really become even more important, in the last few years, especially how important it is to align our work with our strengths, our passions, and our values. So I will also share my story briefly, so you can get some perspective on why I understand what you may be experiencing at this moment. And then I'll get into a bit about what is a transition. And then we'll get into the meat of the workshop, which is, understanding what are your superpowers and what does that really mean, as well as uncovering your passions and what makes your heart sing. And that really forms the basis of the process of reinvention, which I have developed. And then, of course, there will be some breakout sessions and group sharing. So I just want you to relax, have some fun, because we're all here to share and expand and learn. How does that sound? Everybody gives me a thumbs up if what I'm saying resonates, or put it in the chat. So I would love to learn a little bit more about each of you very briefly before we begin. There's a lot of us here, which is amazing. So if you could please just write in the chat, where are you from? It would be great to see where you all are tuning in from. I myself am coming in just outside of Toronto in Canada, and so I'm really happy to be here. So I don't know if there's any fellow Canadians. Maybe Melanie, you can kind of share where people are coming from.
We've got somebody coming, logging in from New York. I've got a couple Chicago. This is great. Keep them coming, everybody. Calgary.
Oh.
Some of the suburbs, surrounding suburbs of Deerfield, of Chicago. Sorry, we got a Deerfield in Wakanda, Illinois.
Great.
And it's lovely to see so many familiar names as well. Some folks that have been a part of Next Group from the very beginning. Rosie, thanks so much. Sammamish, Washington. Nice. We got a Minneapolis, San Francisco.
Wow.
New Jersey.
So great, isn't it? This technology allows us to meet like this.
This is fantastic, really.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's great. Thank you for doing that. And I really would love it if by the end of this workshop that, you're all really confident in saying, it's my time now. But I'd like to know right now, actually, if you could finish this sentence, it's my time now to what? Just think about it. Be creative. Think outside of the box. Really think about what you want right now in your life. And is it your time now to do, be, or have it? So if I was to start, for example, I'd say, my name is Kavita, and it's my time now to guide you on your journey of rediscovery and reinvention and transition. So what's coming up for you? If you could just write in the chat, it's my time now to. What have we got? Melanie, Candice?
That's right, Allison. Everybody's thinking. We'll give everybody to respond.
It's a hard one, right? It's a hard one. It's not that easy.
Colette, it's my time. Let's see. Scroll as they're coming through. It's hard. Hey, you guys take your time with this, please.
Yeah, take your time. Yeah.
Somebody said it's my time now to find a job that makes me truly happy. That's great. Colette said it's my time to intentionally crack the narrative of what my personal brand is. Somebody else said, Diane, it's my time to grow and rise to my potential. That's beautiful.
Perfect.
Oh, and Ann said, it's my time now to flourish. I love that one. Here's another one. Colleen said, it's my time now to focus on my passion, not on something that pays the bills. If you are fortunate enough to be in that position, absolutely to focus on where your passions are. Oh, here's another one. It's my time now to live authentically, not to fit into someone else's mold.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's great.
Oh, hi, Lisa. Oh, this is great. Another Kellogg alum. Pivot my business to the exact one I want. Choose my clients and not have them choose me. Here's another one, Judy. It's my time now to use my wisdom, skills, and knowledge in my professional work.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. To be assertive, to help women and moms lead empowered lives, both personally and professionally. Thanks, Carrie. It's my time now to make a difference in the lives of others and focus on being the best leader I can be, not necessarily to only raise shareholder value. I'll rattle off one or two more. It's my time now to focus on the experiences I've had over my long life.
Wonderful. Great.
And here's one last one. It's my time now to land in a job where I truly belong. How's that?
Lovely. It's really kind of empowering, isn't it, to kind of just think about what is it that you really want, and that's really the whole idea for this workshop, to just get our juices flowing and to start thinking about these things. So thank you very much for sharing. So I like to get into a little bit about why this topic is so important to discuss today. And as I mentioned before, it has really become even more important in the last few years. So I've called my coaching program and my course and all my offerings, as well as this session, "It's My Time Now," for a reason. And, as women especially, I think we can relate to this, in that as women, especially, we have often taken care of others' needs throughout our lives ahead of our own. This may be because we have been in the stage of life we were in, perhaps because we were focusing on raising our children if we have them, our spouses, our partners, friends, employers. And there's nothing wrong with caring for others, of course, but I would submit to you how important it is to really address your own needs, and congratulate actually you for taking the time now for yourself. That doesn't, of course, mean that you're being selfish. I want you to realize how important it is for you to put yourself first for change and bring out what you have always been inside of you. By doing so, you actually show up better for everybody else. So, what does rediscovering yourself really mean? Before we can truly know what we're going to do with our careers or other aspects of our lives, it's important to understand who we really are. And by that, I mean, what are our strengths? What are our passions? What are our values? And what is our reason for being? It's a Japanese term called ikigai, which means reason for being. And if we can bring our true strengths and our passions and values into the work we do every day, then our lives will be so much more fulfilled, and we will be so much more energized. And this type of mindset, internal work, I think is really necessary. I would suggest even before beginning to do some of the other important work of, for example, putting together our resumes or preparing for interviews or at other activities as we transition into our careers. So I don't know how that resonates with you. You can put it in the chat or just give thumbs up. But in the last several years, especially, over the years with COVID, many people have taken some time to re-examine what it is they really want to do in their careers and lives, and whether what they're doing right now really aligns with who they really are. And I don't know if you could comment on that, Candace, Melanie. Have you noticed the shift, and do you think it may have, be contributing to, the great resignation that we have all kind of seen?
Yeah, I would say, for sure, especially for women who had to balance so many responsibilities and roles during the pandemic and took on, a disproportionate burden of those challenges. Once you have a time to exhale, and then it is a time for reflection and kind of figuring out maybe something you've been pushed over the edge, or it may just be, wow, all these expectations, let me take a step back and see what I really want to do, because life is short. So that's, we've certainly seen, in terms of not just folks who are relaunching, but pivoting careers, that whole world of pivot has increased exponentially, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So there is a shift. And so I think a lot of people are looking internally. And so in terms of rediscovery and this process, it forms the basis of this coaching process that I have created, that we're going to delve into a little bit here. And it's called, you can see here on the screen, it's called a pyramid of reinvention. And it has 6 steps. And the first is, rediscovering yourself. The second is envisioning your future, which is really important to know what you're leading towards. The third is addressing your obstacles. And we all have those. The fourth is building your confidence. Fifth is charting your plan of action. And then 6th is actually monitoring your progress. So this workshop will actually go through the first 2 sections of the process of rediscovery. And if it resonates with you, I will share with you later how you can access the whole process. So if there's any questions right now, otherwise I can go ahead and proceed. Are we good?
Yeah, actually great. I haven't seen any questions come up so far.
Okay. So you may be wondering, who I am and why should you really be listening to me today? So I thought I'd share a little bit of my story with you. And it is one of transition, which is what you may be facing right now. So I can assure you I can relate. So I was in the corporate pharmaceutical industry for 25 years, with a very successful and comfortable career in sales and marketing. And my life had followed a pretty traditional path, which was kind of instilled in me from when I was young. And many of you may have also had a traditional upbringing. As a South Asian growing up in Canada, the value of a good education and career, as well as, marriage, kids, was emphasized. And I followed that path, often without questioning it. And so, I earned an MBA and I got an undergraduate degree in biology and was very successful in my career. Got married, and we're actually celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. And I have 2 wonderful children. But it was around the time I turned 50, however, that I began to hear this little voice inside of me. And it was nagging me at first, but then it got louder and louder. And the voice was asking me, is this it? Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And what do you really want? I don't know if any of you hear that little voice, or if we're still hearing it, or is it starting to come up? Despite my life seeming perfect from the outside, that little voice inside my head kept on telling me that things needed to change. I was comfortable for sure in my career, but no longer as fulfilled. My kids had now moved out of the house and my relationships and health were just okay. And I thought something was wrong with me. And, why was I feeling like this? But I now realize that what I was going through was normal and experienced by so many other women, and as they face, this next chapter in their life. And I don't know if this relates, if you can relate to this, but if you can, please put a yes in the chat. Yeah, but many would refer to what I was going through and what you may be going through as a midlife crisis. In fact, that term was coined in the 1960s and caught on in popular culture, but there really is no scientific basis behind it. Rather, what I was going through and what you may be going through as well is actually a transition. And according to a lot of research which has been done and conducted, for example, by one expert on transitions by the name of Linda Rossetti, she says that transitions occur when there's a shift in what holds value and meaning to us. They require us to re-examine our identity, our capacity, and our values. And transition is an incredible invitation to unlock the enormous potential that is resident within each of us. So I really like that definition because it really speaks to the opportunity and the potential and the power within each of us. And I submit to you, and the reason I'm doing what I do now is there is so much untapped potential within each of us if we really stop to think about it. Any comments or points on that? Does this resonate with you, or?
We got a nice series of yeses, some capitalized and some W's. I think it's resonating quite a bit with folks here.
Great. So just a little bit about that. Transitions usually occur as a result of a trigger, and those triggers kind of force us to make a decision on what we want to do moving forward. So the trigger could take the form of, for example, a job loss, divorce, empty nest, maybe health scares, or like I had, kind of a combination of many of these things. And so maybe you can think about any triggering events that are in your life right now, which are maybe questioning you, what's next, right? Maybe keep those in mind as we move forward. So we can choose to ignore the triggers and procrastinate, or take action on what we really want to do moving forward. So we can really view this time as a crisis or as an opportunity. And I really decided to look at it as an opportunity. I decided to take action to fix things. I thought about what I liked about my current work and what I didn't like about it, and how I could apply those things to a different career which utilized more of my skills and would be more energizing and fulfilling. I took charge of my health, and as a result, my relationships got better. I looked at my emptiness not as a positive, right? Which I could spend more time on myself, my relationships, and my personal development. And then I decided that I learned that my true passion was in helping people, teaching them, and especially encouraging and coaching women to realize how much potential they have within themselves that's still yet to be explored. So I studied and researched and studied some more, interviewed countless women to learn more. And after the age of 50, I became a coach, a podcaster, course creator, a writer, and a speaker. And I created this process, which I'm going to share with you soon. I'm not telling you all of this to brag. I'm sharing this with you to tell you that it actually really can be done. If you really want something in your heart, it can be done. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't all roses. I was scared, and there was a lot of obstacles that caused me to hesitate for a long time. And making these transitions are not easy, but we're held back by so many obstacles in our way. And sometimes these obstacles, most of the time, they're actually perceived and not real. And they come in mainly in the form of fears. Fear that, I'm not good enough, or I'm not qualified enough, or smart enough. Maybe I'm too old, or the fear of judgment. For example, what are people going to think if I make this transition? Or the fear of failure. What if I fail? And actually, what about the fear of success? What if I actually succeed? So I'm wondering if any of these fears resonate with you. Maybe put one or two of them in the chat, or just share something about what fears are you feeling right now? So I had these same fears, but then that voice grew louder and louder, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I decided to take action. And the more action I took, the more my confidence grew. So despite all the obstacles that you may be feeling that you're in your way right now, it can be done. Sometimes we just have to heed that little voice inside our head, because it is giving us important signs. So that's a little bit about me, and I hope that helps you understand that can relate to what you may be going through right now. But I don't want to assume what you're going through, so I'd like to understand that a little better. Is there any comments or questions before we move on?
I'm going to point out a question, which was in the chat. How do you know the difference between transition phase versus a real depression or dissatisfaction with your current context? Is there a difference? Or, obviously not talking about clinical depression, but that difference.
Well, as I mentioned, transitions are really three stages. There's a trigger, and then there's an action. And sometimes the triggering events can cause, depression or, anxiety as to what, we're doing next. So it is kind of a precursor. And you have to understand, where is that feeling coming from, and why is it happening? And once you figure that out, then you can decide to take action or not.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we have a little poll, which I'm going to ask Melanie to pull up. And what I'd like you to think about and answer is this question. What is the most challenging thing you're experiencing right now as you face your career transition? So if you just put the letter of the answer that resonates most with you. So they are A, I don't know what I want to do. B, I want to do something different, but I'm not confident in myself. C, I don't even know where to start. D, I don't think I'm good enough, qualified enough, experienced enough. E, I'm worried about what people will think of me. And F, all of the above. And if one of those doesn't resonate with you and you have something else, please put that in the chat.
We've got half of the folks that have responded already. I'll give people maybe another 30 seconds to respond.
Sure.
And Kavita, do you see the results on the screen, or would you like me to?
I do.
Okay,
I see them.
Great.
So 73% have answered. So maybe we'll give it a minute or two.
Absolutely.
Looks like it's pretty split. Do you see the results on your screen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay, we've got 100% answered. Great. So it looks like 36% of you, the most challenging thing you're experiencing right now is you don't know what you want to do. And then the next one is, I don't think I'm good enough or qualified enough or experienced enough. And then the next is all of the above. So it's, and then 9% is, I don't even know where to start. So there's a lot of challenges, but I think it's important for us to bring those out to just to stress that also that you're not alone and that we all kind of face these different challenges as we're looking to transition into our careers in life. Any comments or anything from you, Candace or Melanie? Did I lose you?
Nope. Nope, we're there. Yep.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody jumping on. I'm not surprised at the responses. I tend to think that folks that jump on our weekly office hours, that we kind of see it kind of runs the gamut and it's all across the board. But I think a lot of times there are women who they're just stuck and they're struggling with a lot of things, a lot of pieces that they're just not quite sure, they're kind of holding them back. So I'm not surprised by the results, to be quite honest with you. And it's typically a number of things. And it's not just one area that is needing focus or work at the moment. So I appreciate everybody again responding.
Absolutely.
I would
And
add
then
too that there's this dichotomy between, we see a lot of folks aren't sure what they want to do, and yet I saw in some of the comments, a fear is you'll make the wrong choice or you'll you won't succeed. And so those two things combined, because oftentimes, we'll talk some today about how you can figure out what you want to do looking internally, but it also requires kind of putting it out there in the world. And so so that you can experiment and you can try things and you can test things. And if our fears are that we are going to be disappointed or someone else is going to be disappointed, then it's hard for us even to figure out what we want to do, because that almost requires us to be vulnerable, right, by putting these things out there. So the two kind of work with each other against us.
Right. Yeah, that judgment piece is really big, and that's something we really need to work on. That's great. Well, I hope that kind of provided a little bit of insight into what many of us are facing as we experience transitions. So I will move on, and what we're going to do now is look at the first part of the process of rediscovery, which is in assessing your inventory or your superpowers. And this is really important as it really forms the basis of what we bring out into the world moving forward. So we've heard of the word superpower before, and I know it sounds kind of cliche, but what is its definition? According to the dictionary, it is a power of the kind possessed by superheroes, a superhuman power. So, we often imagine only superheroes like Wonder Woman, possessing these powers. But what if we really believe that each of us has our own superpowers? If we truly believe that each one of us has our own strengths, our own unique abilities, and our own individual talents, we can become superheroes. So how do we find our superheroes? The first step is to realize that you are enough. Only you possess the combination of talents and skills which make you unique. And really, there's no one in this world with your history, your experiences, and environment from which you can draw from. So again, you're unique. Remember that, and you can really tap into your superpowers. So it's really so important to understand what you're good at, because you have accumulated so much a great wealth of experience and knowledge. And ironically, as women especially, we often do not give ourselves enough credit for the breadth and the depth of our existing skills. So that's a little definition there for you of superpowers. So I had sent along, and Melanie had sent along some exercises prior to the workshop, and I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to take a look at these exercises. And if you've had a chance to look at them, great. If not, now we'll have a bit of a time to go through them, and then we'll have a few breakout rooms to discuss and to share. So I'll put this first exercise up for you right now. If you were to list 3 tasks, things or tasks that you're really good at, what are they? So for example, I'm really good at putting together a financial statement. That could be one of the things or tasks that you're really good at. The second is list 3 specific skills or talents you've developed that make you successful at what you do. So as an example, you could be really good at putting together a financial statement, but what makes you really successful is that you really have a natural ability to process the meaning behind the numbers. And then list the 10 coolest things about you. Take some time. These can be experiences you've had, skills or expertise or roles you've played. Just have some fun with it and list some of the 10 coolest things about you. And then the last is make a list of your successes, even little ones. So really take the time to uncover your triggers by asking yourself these questions and journaling the answers. And, as I was going through some exercises myself a few years ago, I'll tell you that I had major imposter syndrome. Reflecting on some of these questions, I never really taken the time to inventory what I was good at or what made me successful in my life. And when I did, I realized I needed to utilize them even more in what I was going to do moving forward. So I'll give you all, let's say, 5 minutes to journal the answers to many of these questions as you can, if you haven't done so already. Does that sound okay, Melanie?
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll stay here, and then once you give me the word, then we can go ahead and create the breakout rooms.
Maybe anybody could say in the chat, or if they're done, just say you're done or you need more time, and then we'll go from there. Anybody have any questions on us? Candace, Melanie, did you do these exercises as well?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
I gave it some thought, but I'm making my notes now too.
I'm number 1.
Okay.
No, I jumped to the 10 coolest things about me because
that's good. That's fun, isn't it?
It's a perfect place to start.
Mm-hmm. There should be some music, I think, eh? Maybe you should just sing while people are doing this. Everybody.
That was my deep focus podcast. Oops,
Oh,
it's not
elevator music cue. How's everyone doing? A few more minutes needed? I mean, you don't have to, you can always work on these later as well, but it's just trying to get you thinking about some of your superpowers.
Well, Kavita, you just give me the word when you want me to
Yeah.
create the.
I think
okay.
that's pretty good. I mean, hopefully everyone has had a chance to take a look and think about these questions. So why don't we go ahead and get into the breakout rooms, and I'll put these questions up again. So if you could share in the breakout room some of the things you came up with regard to your top skills or talents, and then maybe ask yourself or discuss, are you currently using your these talents to the best of your ability? And also, how else may you use your talents in a different way that you're using right now that you could make you more energized? So if you could, Melanie, put everyone in a chat, and we'll be in there for about 10 minutes. All right. How was that? Was it great to meet? Was it great to meet with some of the other women in the group and discuss what came out with you?
Absolutely.
I love it if one or two groups would like to share, some of the things that came up as you're going through these exercises. Don't be shy.
I'll say something. I met with Joanna, and we discussed our prior skills and what we felt that were our strengths. And I just was very impressed by the things that she had said about herself. And I wanted to encourage her to maybe look at what she wants to do differently, not just necessarily moving back into corporate America, but looking to do it a different way, because she has that kind of a personality that a company would look for. And sometimes you can just go in and be there for a little while and then get back out. That's what I do as an older person in my career. So I'm still in my career, but I'm not in there as a permanent hardcore employee in that way.
Yeah, and I really appreciated that. I so enjoyed meeting Connie. We exchanged emails, so we're going to talk.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll say something. I had a great conversation with both Carrie and Candace, and we talked a lot about transferable skills and really thinking about the talents. So, like, for example, one of the things that I wrote down was designing and developing professional learning as a strength of mine, but what are the transferable skills that are within that would allow me to utilize that particular those particular skill sets in something else. So it's a homework assignment that I have to do, but
Fantastic.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, it's kind of liberating, right? To think about different ways that we can use our skills, transferable skills, and also in ways that we maybe have never even considered, right? So fantastic. Is there anybody else that wants to share, or should we move on? Okay, you're good. All right. Well, thank you for that, and I hope you enjoyed that. what we are going to do next is in the exercises that were sent to you, there's some take-home exercises that really actually you can do after the session, and it really provides some great insight into your superpowers or strengths. And one of these exercises is to ask 3 to 5 people who you know well, what do you think are my superpowers or zone of genius? What topic do you come to me for advice? What do I do? What do I do that you find of value? And then based on their answers, is there a common theme in their responses? And do their answers align with your own assessment? And again, question from there, assess, are you currently using your talent to the best of your ability? And how else may you use your talents in a different way? So I remember when I did this exercise, asking people around me what they thought my superpowers were. There was really a surprising common theme around listening and writing and educating and inspiring others and connecting people together. And the interesting thing was I realized that I was only using some of my talents in my current career. So in the last several years, for example, I've really pushed myself really outside of my comfort zone and doing things using talents I never knew I had. Like, for example, podcasting. I never knew I could do that. And it is scary at first, but it really becomes rewarding and energizing when you use as many talents as you can in what you are doing. And again, as women especially, we don't often acknowledge our strengths, let alone celebrate them. So I think this is a really good basis to understanding, what you can offer the world moving forward. So have fun with these take-home exercises. And if you haven't completed the previous ones, do them on your own time, journal them, and be kind to yourself and just think about what makes you, you, and what makes you great, right? So unless there's any other further comments you'd like to share, we can move on. Okay. So next, we're going to talk about our passions and what makes your heart sing. What do you love to do? So, there can often be a disconnect between what our top skills are and strengths are and what we love to do, right? So, for example, in the previous exercise, you may have listed that your top skills is that you're great with numbers, right? So maybe your profession is you're an accountant. And over the years, you've honed skills of working with numbers. However, you may not be passionate about numbers. In fact, maybe you are love instead to paint or draw, or you're an artist of some sort. So this disconnect sometimes can cause frustration and anxiety and worry, or feelings of dissatisfaction with what we're currently doing in our lives. So, think about what you were passionate about as a kid. For example, when I was a kid, I used to love running around with a microphone, pretending I was interviewing. And anybody that was in sight, I would pretend that I was interviewing them with a fake microphone. And I really forgot about that until recently. And although I never really went into journalism, which was probably my passion, what I'm doing now is I'm actually interviewing women for my podcast using a real microphone. So it actually goes to show you that the passions that you may think you have buried or forgotten can actually be brought to life and incorporated in what we do moving forward, if we really allow ourselves the space to think about them, right? So similar to the strengths exercises I had sent you, we had sent some exercises around your passions prior to the workshop. So I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at them. And I can pull them up here, and we can also give you another, 5 minutes to work through them. And so take a look at these questions here. So the first one is, if you had no limitations on time, money, beliefs, or processes, what are the 5 things that you would do? Second is, describe why you love to do these things. How do these things make you feel? And then what tasks can you get so involved in that you wonder where the time went? And then if you could design your own job, what would it be and who would you serve? So for example, when I thought about what my ideal job would look like, I knew it would be something where I was not tied down to a 9 to 5 office environment. It would be a job that allowed me the flexibility of working from anywhere, and it would involve me coaching and inspiring women. So, think about these passions, and I'll give you, maybe 5 minutes again, and you can work on them and journal them in the sheets that were provided, and then we'll go into another breakout room to discuss. Does anybody have any questions or comments before you get started?
I don't see any questions that have come up in the chat yet. So
Okay.
again, if anybody's got any questions for Kavita while you're
You can just
journaling.
unmute too. You don't have to put them in the chat. Like, just go ahead and unmute.
Thanks so much, Kavita.
Yes. So we'll give maybe until 8:40 or 7:40 your time. Are you working on them, Candace? Or is she? Maybe just give a couple more minutes. Okay, I think what we can do now is we'll get into the next breakout room.
You got it.
And so, introduce yourselves, share some of the things that you'd love to do if you have no limitations on time or money or beliefs or processes. What tasks can you get involved in that you wonder where the time has went? And if you could design your own job, what would it be and who would you serve? And why?
For the purpose of these breakout rooms, I'm going to mix up the groups so you have an opportunity to engage and chat with others, hopefully that are different than with the first exercise.
And I don't know if you want to copy and paste into the chat the questions.
Mhm.
I'd love it again if if a few of you could share what came up for you during the breakout sessions. Anybody?
Colette said she needed more time. Hopefully we
Oh, okay.
need some time to get the juices flowing for sure.
Okay.
Leah said, thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, Judy, really thanks. Enjoying the opportunity to voice my thoughts and buried feelings.
Great. Sometimes it's just giving us time and space to just do that, right?
Absolutely.
We often don't do that. Anybody want to share, or are we?
No, Amy
Lisa
said
can share.
hopes and dreams matter.
Lisa will share. Go ahead.
I'm too. I now I can't type fast enough. I was just so overwhelmed by in both breakout groups the amazing women that I met. That like it's like we can't even see our own superpowers and our own amazingness. Like in my last group, like I at the very end, Leah was sharing like she's like, oh, well, I don't know really what I want to do, and she's like, oh, I just sold my company. I'm like, you built a company and sold a company? Like just amazingness that probably like I don't think she can even see like how. Anyway, so just the overwhelmed and the beauty of that. So thank you for creating a really safe space for us to explore that together.
That's great, Lisa.
Appreciate that, Lisa. Thank you. Yeah, we don't take the time to acknowledge and celebrate ourselves, right? So this is the time to do it, right? It's our time now. Anyone else?
I'll say, Kavita, what people are thinking. One thing that resonated to me about the passion piece is, like you, when I was small, I wanted to, well, be an actress, be Phil Donahue, be a talk show host,
Yes.
and never really figured out like how would that ever connect. And to some degree, I feel like I'm not an actress now, but I like to make people laugh and engage them. And I do feel like those ability to talk to people and making connections with people is what landed me ultimately back to this business that we've created, this organization, through a big circuitous route. But yeah, so we'll get each other a microphone.
I would like to say something. I've had the same passion since I was a little girl, and all through my career, I didn't let it go. Even if I could just do a little bit of it, and at times it came in handy when I needed cash flow, or just sometimes to get over some bad times, just being able to really just hang with it a little bit. So maybe even if you can't exercise all your passions, maybe to start up, to just think about something you always wanted to do and take some time, a little at a time, to do it. I'm not giving it up.
Can I ask what the passion is, Connie?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a dress designer. As a little girl, I used to sit on my grandmother's back porch and look through the encyclopedia part where they had costumes of many countries. And I had a little tiny sewing machine that actually sewed. I make doll clothes and stuff. But I really, really enjoy doing creative things with my hand. There's too much I can't do with some fabric or yarn. So I never stopped doing it. And from time to time, I made it a business sometimes, and then when my corporate life, which I had a very long, very good career, I never retired. That doesn't make sense to me. So, I mean, you can still exercise your passion, even if you're kind of stuck in something, because as you do that, take those small steps, you'll get out of that other situation much quicker.
Absolutely.
That's great wisdom. I was just going to say, someone had told me that they were very skeptical about, thinking about their passions and how could that really affect what they're doing in their job. And what this person's passion was cats. And she was in a corporate setting. She was like, how am I going to translate cats into, how's it going to move me? I'm not going to quit my job and go become a cat lady, But what she ended up doing was starting a group within her own team. She was donating things to a cat, stray cat organization. And it started the team that she worked with, everybody brought in what they cared about, right? And so they would have a month for each of them. And one of the things that had gotten in her way, because she didn't get so much joy from her work anymore, but this was a way to, kind of bring her passion and the folks that she worked with, bring that into their job. So she didn't end up changing careers, but she got a lot more fulfillment out of the work she was doing. So you're totally right, Connie. It doesn't have to necessarily translate into a position or a career role, but keeping something alive can help. It can have a ripple effect on the rest of your life.
I can remember my mother telling me when I was growing up, quotes, I'm in my 20s, right, trying to find myself. And my mother told me, well, it never hurts to have more than one stream of income. So, and that drove me, many times. And because stuff happens when you have a corporate job.
But it's also about the qualities, right? You mentioned creativity, and like with the cats, it's caring, the caring nature, and looking, nurturing. So those things, those qualities that you have in the passions can translate into a work situation as well, right? So yeah, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. It's fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And we also had sent to you some take-home exercises, and I love this little picture of this little girl. And there's some things that you can do when after the session. So, look back at your memorabilia from when you were 8 years old. What kind of kid were you? Like, what excited you, and what did you want to be when you grew up? And thinking about your passions when you were a kid may ignite some things in you that have been buried and what you can maybe bring out now. So, when I was a kid, for example, I would always had my nose buried in a book, and I wrote some really great stories. And now I'm writing even more than I ever have. And I'm actually going to write my first book this year, hopefully. And so, these are the things that just to be creative and think about some of those passions. So the other thing that I had brought up was to do this workshop called the Red and Green activities. And so to make a note of those activities that throughout the week, which energize you or take away your energy. So the red activities are those that you truly don't enjoy doing. They make you feel depleted. The time seems to pass by very slowly. You don't look forward to it, and requires a lot of effort. Whereas the green activities, you truly do enjoy doing, it makes you feel very energized and makes you forget time, and you look forward to doing these things. And you can do them even when you're under stress or fatigue. And so, is there a way that you can increase the green activities in your life? Obviously, sometimes we have to include red activities in our life because they are necessary, but is there a way to reduce these activities so that we can enjoy our life more? For example, if I think about one of the things I don't like doing is my accounting, I don't like doing that. And is it more valuable for me to have someone else do that so I can focus on those things like one of my green activities, writing or coaching or exercising even? So, in order to increase our energy levels for those things that we truly are passionate about or that we love. So sometimes something to think about, as we design our lives moving forward. So maybe just anybody wants to share anything that comes up around maybe the passions as a child and some of these activities that maybe, if we look at our next week, anything coming up for anybody? Nope.
I love the idea of red and green activities. And I think sometimes I work from home full time. And so sometimes I struggle with productivity. And I wonder I think I'm just going to start making notes of like, this is a red activity, or, oh, this is a green activity, and just kind of start to pay attention to that. So thanks for that insight.
You're welcome. Yeah, just to make a note of it in the next week, and make a note of what you really love to do, and can we make more time that in our life? So thanks for sharing. Okay, well, that takes us really to the end of the official workshop. But I would just to wrap, I'd just like to say, stress a few things, and that transitions like what you're going through are really a normal part of life, and they can either be viewed as a crisis or as an opportunity. And hopefully at this point, we're looking at it as an opportunity. And before we can really address what we want to do next in our lives with confidence, we have to start from within, right? Like, who are we really? What do we really want? And who do we really want to be? So I think it is possible to incorporate our strengths and our passions and our values into what we want to do moving forward. It does take a lot of reflection and honesty with ourselves, but the answers are really within. And if we really take the time to ask the questions. So before we wrap up, I don't know if there's any comments or anything, insights that you want to gain, and then that you've gained through the session. Otherwise, I can tell you a little bit about how you can learn a little bit more about getting in touch with me. Anything that coming up? No? Okay.
I'll say something. I can really appreciate the framing around answering these questions. I think it has forced me, and I would assume others, to be really intentional about, just the thought process and coming up with these things for yourself. I would argue that we're probably all in a place where we want to be doing something that we love, and not just going to another opportunity or embarking on another opportunity just because it's available. And so I could really appreciate looking at it from not only strengths, but passions, because I don't feel like that orientation is talked about enough. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. That's great. I'm glad that opened up things for you. And I'd love it if, as you're going through these, even after the session, if there's any questions or if you have any insights, I'd love it if you even just shoot me a message, or Melanie and Candace, and tell us how what some of the insights that you've gained as a result of this, and then we can tailor future sessions as well to what you need. If you enjoy the session, there's several options as well that we can work on, and one is obviously of my one-on-one coaching program, as well as a group coaching program that I do have. And with that group coaching, we can dive even deeper. And we just kind of scratched the surface today. There's a lot more there that we can dive into. So those are some of the options. And for attending today's session, I'm very happy to offer a complimentary 45-minute initial coaching consultation, if that's something that you're interested in, and diving deeper into these issues, into your visions, into some of the blocks that you may have going forward. And as well, I have a confidence guide that which is very helpful, with some daily prompts that I'm happy to send to you. So you can visit my website as well, which is on the screen, powerpurposeplay.ca. I love it if you'd listen to my podcast. It's called The Midlife Reinvention, soon to be renamed It's My Time Now. And, shoot me an email if you are interested in having a call with me. I'm very happy to do that. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be guiding you on this initial journey of rediscovery. And, I think you women have so much within us to rediscover. And I just think there's so much potential, and I really appreciate your time that you've taken for yourself today. So thank you so much, Candace and Melanie, for inviting me today.
Kavita, thank you very much, and want to do a quick shout out to everybody who joined us and stayed on with us. We really do appreciate your participation, and we'll go ahead and send a follow-up email to everyone who registered this evening with a link to the recording, as well as how to get in touch with Kavita, and also how to join the Next Group network if you're not already a member. Thanks again. Hope everybody has a great evening and a great rest of the week, and a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.